Hyperliquid with the Hype token is one of the worst performing cryptocurrencies in the last month. It went down by 50%. The question is, does it make sense to buy this bottom now? Is the valuation of Hyperliquid now fair? Is this just a correction because all of crypto is going down? Or is there something specifically happening to Hyperliquid that makes sense to be rather cautious? Now we're currently at $13.44. We are down 48.79% in the last month. And at one point, the price was at $33. What happened here? Now, Hyperliquid is two things. On the one hand, we've got the blockchain itself, a specialized blockchain. On the other hand, we've got a decentralized perpetual futures exchange. Now, perpetual futures are simply bets on the price. So instead of buying an asset directly, we can bet on the direction of future price movements by making bets with other market participants. That's got the advantage that we can potentially have more leverage. It can also have the advantage of having less fees, especially when there's a lot of trading going on, when people actively trade potentially several times per day. Now have a look at the following. This is an overview of DeFi Llama, and it puts Hyperliquid now at the 16th largest blockchain with a total value locked of 450 million. But also, what happened to Hyperliquid in the last month was outstanding, as in it lost most of its value compared to all competitors. This is how that then looks over time. So we had the launch in December of last year. We had a lot of quick adoption, more than 700 million were in the protocol, and now this is coming back down. What's happening? Perpetual futures are nothing new. Decentralized perpetual futures are nothing new either. But Hyperliquid had been pretty efficient with its blockchain, as in it was very quick to process transactions. And because of that, a lot of arbitrage bots were trading on Hyperliquid versus other protocols. And so we see how the market share of Hyperliquid expanded very quickly up to a peak of almost 70%. And now it's slightly coming back down. Now it's at 65%. So that's in terms of trading volume. Here are the capital flows. So again, we see somewhat of a turnaround since beginning of the month. And here's the number of active users over time. Again, we had very quick adoption at the beginning. Now this tends to slow down. But interestingly enough, the trading volume itself is not necessarily slowing down. So there are a few sticky users. People are simply now trading more. The liquidations on the network also tend to be stable. This is direct income for the platform, right? There are liquidation fees where the Hyperliquid protocol is benefiting from. And of course, in the end, this is a player versus player game. There are some fees involved, financing fees, swapping fees, etc. And so over time, the traders in aggregate tend to lose money to the protocol. There are, of course, some winners, but the vast majority losers. And this is the net trader profit and loss. In aggregate, people have lost 60 million on Hyperliquid. That's direct profit for the protocol. So how is it possible that Hyperliquid is making money like this and the price is collapsing at the same time? I think this has something to do with valuations. At one point, the Hype token was only $3.57 and saw it roughly 10x to then come back down. The question is this now fair? The easiest way to tell whether or not something is currently fairly valued is to just compare market caps, right? How much are other protocols used and what's their market caps and how does Hyperliquid relate to that? So here are different blockchains with their market cap. Hyperliquid is over here. It's larger than Monero, it's larger than Aptos, but it's smaller than Avalanche, it's smaller than Sui, it's smaller than Toncoin, and of course smaller than Solana and BNB, etc. as well. Now within the decentralized perpetual futures market, Hyperliquid has pretty much stolen the show. So 4.5 billion market cap, and the next contender, DYDX, has only 1/10 of the market cap. So Hyperliquid is still dominating the market, and we've already seen that in this market share chart. Now here's the thing. When we compare Hyperliquid to other decentralized exchanges in general, so not just perpetual futures, but decentralized exchanges as in the spot market, the valuation of the Hype token is still pretty hyped. We are at 4.5 billion for Hyperliquid, and we are only at 3.7 billion for Uniswap and 1.3 billion for Jupiter. This is the leading decentralized exchange aggregator on Solana. Isn't that a bit odd that Hyperliquid has a higher valuation than Uniswap, which is on pretty much any chain. The Hyperliquid blockchain itself only had trading volume of 58 million in the last 24 hours. It appears that in order for Hyperliquid to go up in price, we need to see adoption outside just the decentralized exchange. We need to see more than just perpetual futures for the price to go up. It seems like right now, Hype token relative to layer 1s is okayish priced. Now let's compare trading volumes on chain. So we've got 58 million for Hyperliquid. We've got 1.5 billion for Solana. So Solana has roughly 30 times the trading volume. The market cap of Solana is 65 billion. The market cap of Hyperliquid is 4.5 billion. So that's a 14x difference. So based on that, Hyperliquid relative to Solana would be roughly 2x overvalued. But Hyperliquid is not just the on-chain trading, right? It's also the decentralized exchange perps. And that's of course dominating everything else. But again, it seems like there is not that much more trading volume to be made with the perp market. It's completely dominated. So now what we need to see is adoption of spot trading, of something happening on-chain that's not the Hyperliquid DEX. And there are already several protocols. Unfortunately, Hyperliquid is leading massively and all those other protocols haven't yet gained any traction. Once they do, then I believe the Hype token can go higher. If it just keeps its current market position and doesn't expand further, the price is likely going to further drop a bit, right? Because really a valuation above Uniswap doesn't make much sense. Clearly, the overall situation in crypto has changed recently, and there seems to be one event that started it all off. What we've got over here is the Bitcoin price, and this red circle marks when Donald Trump launched his Memecoin. So that's this over here. Most people got burnt with that Memecoin. If you bought this in the first few hours after launch, you made money. If you didn't, you lost money. Since the launch, Bitcoin lost 21% of its value. Of course, the Trump token lost much more. A lot of other altcoins also lost more. And so the majority of people lose, of course, when the market looks like this. There's pretty much nobody that has their entire crypto portfolio in Maker or in Bearer or in Bitcoin Cash. Even if you hold those tokens, you probably have a diversified portfolio and you're down with all of those other tokens. Now here's something that's not so obvious. We see Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin went up by 14% in the last year. And this is now the top 100 ordered by their performance in the last year. And there are a few altcoins that did better than Bitcoin. Two of them being gold derivatives, so PEXG and Tether Gold. But there's also others that performed slightly better. But the vast majority of altcoins actually performed much, much worse. If you picked a random altcoin in the top 100 1 year ago, you've got roughly an 80% chance that you underperformed simply Bitcoin. And that's of course a problem, right? Because altcoins have more risk, and so in theory, they should also perform better, especially during times when Bitcoin tends to go up. And so I don't try to find the needle in the haystack. I don't try to pick the bearer coin in order to then make money. I do the exact opposite. I bet on the vast majority of altcoins doing worse than Bitcoin. And most of the time, that strategy makes money. Have a look at this, for example. This is Matic relative to Bitcoin, a very constant underperformance. Or this is Balancer relative to Bitcoin. Again, a very constant underperformance. And we can make money from that relative valuation. We don't have to bet on Balancer or on Matic going down versus the US dollar. We can bet on it doing worse than Bitcoin and make money when this thing continues to go down. Or we can also mirror that chart, right? We can just bet on this continue to go up. This is now Bitcoin relative to Matic. That's the logarithmic chart. This is the linear chart. So why does this happen? The reason is tokenomics, right? It's the altcoins that print more and more tokens, and that token allocation goes to the insiders, it goes to the developers. And for meme coins, we don't necessarily have an expanding supply, but for meme coins, we tend to have a lot of ownership by the insiders as well that simply sell off over time. And that's why Bitcoin performs so well versus all of those altcoins. And that's why I believe those are the kinds of charts we want to bet on. Yes, we can of course try to time Bitcoin itself, and we can try to buy this at 16K and then sell it at 100K. And this is a possible way to make money. I'm also trying to time Bitcoin, But why would we try to pick the few altcoins that perform still okay? Why not just flip this thing around and make money when those bubbles are red? So for example, over here on the 6th of December, I have made a premium update video how I have sold some of my Bitcoin because a liquidity crunch was incoming. So that was over here. I've made another announcement on the 25th of February how I've sold all of my speculative Bitcoin and how I'm selling all of my altcoin positions. And that was over here. I opened a position betting on falling prices of Chainlink on the 23rd of January. I opened a short position on Dogecoin and on PancakeSwap on the 14th of February. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I've now closed the Chainlink position, so it lost 42% in the span of a few weeks. I've also closed the Cake short, which went down versus BNB by 27%. And I've also closed the Dogecoin short, also in profit. So really, when you know what you're doing, if you know how to do the proper risk management, that you don't get liquidated, and when you have the odds in your favor during times like this, when most altcoins underperform Bitcoin, then it is rather straightforward to make money like this. We don't have to find the needle in the haystack. We don't have to make 100x returns with a random meme coin. We can simply just let our capital compound by making 20% here and 40% over here. Most people are scared of betting on falling prices. But that's why I've made dedicated tutorial videos on the topic, how to do the proper risk management, how to set up those positions also in DeFi and Web3, not just with centralized exchanges, how to do this cost efficiently, and also how to select the right assets to short. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total in premium. The link is down below. It's thebitcoinstrategy.com. Of course, I'm also sharing in detail how I currently see the market. There's a premium update video every 3 to 4 days. And I challenge you to look at other influencers, what they said during those times, right? Have a look at the date, have a look at the title of those different premium update videos, and let me know who said already on February 18th that it might make sense to bet on falling prices, or that crypto stopped expanding in the last 2 to 3 weeks, or how your influencer is selling aggressively. I don't really see many other influencers saying it like it is. Most YouTube channels just sell hopium. Most YouTube channels just want to push up their own bags, but they're not really looking realistically at the prices. They're not really looking at how much are people actually already in profit and when will that profit be taken. So if you appreciate during times like this that I keep it real, then of course feel free to give this video a like. Feel free to also subscribe. I publish videos regularly. And of course, feel free to also check out premium. The link is down below. Looking very much forward to seeing you there as well. Cheers.